Thank you.
Gina, are you with us?
Yes, hi, I'm here. Hello to everyone out there. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Yesterday was actually my birthday, and I think that's really fitting because I'm about to tell you the circumstances surrounding my birth. So back in 1988, my parents escaped from communist Cuba and immigrated to the United States when my mother was 5 months pregnant with me. She actually says that she was like trying to hide her baby bump from the officials at the airport in case they tried to tell her she couldn't fly when she was pregnant or something like that. But thankfully, nothing like that happened. They were able to come to the United States and eventually landed in California. They literally came with just the clothes on their backs and each other. I don't even know if they had a bag because what would they have put in it? But thankfully, my mom's siblings had immigrated prior to her and were able to help her out. They helped my dad get a job. He spoke some English he learned in the university in Cuba, and they helped my mom sign up for Medicaid. So that was how she was able to get prenatal health care for herself and of course for me. So I was born under Medicaid. And then after I was born, we used programs such as WIC to get us by. By the time my brother was born 5 years later, my parents weren't on Medicaid anymore. But though I know that Medicaid must have been very important to them in those first 5 years in America. So I say that my parents are like that classic American dream. They immigrated to the United States for a better life, for them, for me, for my brother to come along later, and the government assisted them. That assistance was Medicaid. That healthcare was what they needed. What no one under Medicaid, what no immigrant, what no one in a dire circumstance needs is a government subsidized abortion. The circumstances surrounding how or why someone ends up on Medicaid has nothing to do with the worth of the individual born. So when we hear people criticizing the Hyde Amendment, they usually use language like, oh, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women haven't had the opportunity to exercise their right to choose their private healthcare matters. And that is very flowery language that sounds like maybe we should be helping these poor women on Medicaid. But the choices that they're talking about are people. The choices that they're referring to is only one choice, and that's abortion, which is going to end the life of someone conceived under Medicaid. And most of the time, the majority of the time, that person is what we could call non-white. So someone who checks off every single box and any single box besides that white non-Hispanic one. I find that personally offensive. I am personally hurt by that as someone whose parents came to this country and needed help from the government, real help, not just government-funded death for a child. So that is why I find it personally hurtful and offensive when people criticize the Hyde Amendment. I'm not necessarily one of the 1 in 9 because I know, my parents have talked to me like they had been married already. My mom, like I said, was 5 months pregnant. They were happy about that pregnancy, but it doesn't really matter. There's no difference in the self-worth, in the worth of a human being between me, the kid that was born on Medicaid right before me, and the kid that was born on Medicaid right after me. There's no difference between any of us. And finally, I'd like to share with you guys my favorite Medicaid kid, not just me. This is my niece, Laura. She was in that video in the beginning, if you happen to catch it. She is 8 years old, and my brother was 18 when him and his girlfriend at the time faced an unplanned pregnancy. So they signed up for Medicaid, and that's how my niece's mom got her health care, and that's how my niece was born. 8 years later, my brother and his ex-girlfriend now are doing a great job co-parenting, even though they're not together. They're both successful in their relative fields. And Laura is thriving in school and just lights up everyone's life. It's not always easy. My parents struggled a lot when they first came here with nothing. My brother and his girlfriend also struggled. Clearly, they qualified for Medicaid and faced an unplanned pregnancy as teens. But that, again, doesn't matter. We're talking about human beings' lives. We're talking about people. That 2.4 million is people, just like me, no more, no less. The circumstances surrounding our birth does not define us. And just like I was really happy to celebrate my birthday yesterday, it's never a bad thing that more people get to celebrate their birthday, regardless of where they came from. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight and listening to my little story.
Thank you so much, Gina. Such a touching story. And I just really, really always appreciate your continued help on this particular cause that secular pro-life has been involved in. And thank you.